Such a beautiful feast because there's this kind of explosion of light that illumines the temple as Jesus, the light of the world, is brought by Mary and Joseph to fulfill the law. And in this simple act that so many Jews performed, something exceptional happens, because obviously this is no ordinary child and it's no ordinary presentation. Our liturgy today reflects the impact of this event. It reflects the need for us to present ourselves before the Lord in this temple and to dedicate ourselves to bringing light into the darkness. When Jesus is presented to Simeon and Anna in the temple, it becomes clear what his mission is, and that is to bring salvation to all the world. It will pierce the heart of Mary and it will cause many to fall, but through it all, people will be saved. This is the whole mission of Jesus. People will come to a deeper knowledge and love of God. And that's the measure that we're called to. That's our calling as Christians, to be a people that brings others to a deeper relationship with God and to a deeper love of God. And so we can ask, is that what we're doing? Like, if that's what we're here for, if that's our mission, then are we doing it? It's a kind of an uncomfortable question, so let me make it a little more uncomfortable by making it maybe a little more real and concrete. Every day we have the choice to be a people of joy and hope, or people who only bring the negative, who only complain and object and make snarky comments. Think of what kind of person you are to your family, to your friends, to the people at work. Like, do they look forward to you coming? Do they get excited when you walk in the door, or do they run to their rooms or hide out in their cubicles? I think of Pigpen from Charlie Brown and the dust cloud that followed him everywhere he went. I wonder what's in our cloud. What is it that we're giving off? What is it that other people experience when they're around us? It's just a really important question. What do we carry with us when we go out into the world? And let's take another step. We can look at life as a gift, as a series of obstacles. We can look at life as a gift or as a series of obstacles that leads us to this point of decision where we decide in the end how we want to live. Do we appreciate what God has given, or do we just get frustrated that life isn't giving us what we want? Because when we look at life as a gift, we live with this awareness that there is a giver. And the giver is not a one-time giver, but he's constantly giving. And to live this way means that there is absolutely nothing that is useless. Everything has value because it's given. It's to see in the daily and mundane things that God is always looking at us, always putting in front of us things that are valuable, that are so useful and helpful to us. And sometimes what God puts in front of us is not easy to receive. Sometimes it's sickness or pain or loss. But if we trust the giver, if we believe that gift has a purpose in our life, then we can look at everything as having the potential to help us to grow in our belonging to the Lord. And life takes on new meaning, and nothing is boring because everything is given. Do we live that way? With life as a gift, receiving life in that way? Do we experience this joy every day of getting up and looking for the gifts that God has presented to us? Or do we tend to go through our day just complaining that things aren't the way that we want them to be? I remember the story of a child, a young boy who was born. He was born with a disease that he wasn't supposed to live more than a few hours. But somehow he managed to live just under 100 days. And every day his parents would celebrate because that day wasn't expected. And so every day this child who had tubes and was struggling just to breathe, every day that child knew love because his parents every day celebrated the gift of his life. Can you imagine if we did that every single day, if we lived with that intensity that helped us to recognize that every single moment is not to be taken for granted, but it's given by the Lord. It's offered to us, and so that in this moment right now, the Lord is holding us in existence and giving us this gift so that we can draw closer to him. Do we want to live that way? Or do we say, oh, it's too much, it's too intense, I can't live that way? I would ask, what's the option? Like, what's the other option? We can either live with this intensity, recognizing that life is a gift, or we can just waste our lives. We can waste moments. We can say, this moment isn't important. I'm just going to check out. I'm going to waste my time. How do we want to live? With an enthusiasm for what God has given? Or with this sense of apathy, not really caring that every moment is a gift? Living with purpose and enthusiasm makes us a light for people who are lost in meaninglessness and darkness. Because if you know that someone who loves you is constantly giving you something, it's impossible to just take it for granted. And so do we help people to see the gift that God is giving? Or do we just contribute to this general malaise, a lack of care for what it is that God puts in front of us? Your presence matters. Your witness matters in this world. People need to see us enthusiastic about Jesus Christ. Not dorky. I'm not saying we have to be ridiculously crazy, but I mean, do we give off a light, a hope, a joy? Think of Simeon in the temple. The Lord revealed to him at some point in his life that he wouldn't die until he saw the Christ. What was life like for him? Can you imagine every day wondering, is this the day? Is this the day when I'll meet the Messiah? Is this the day? Will I see him? And every day when he went to the temple, he would look and he would wonder because God didn't tell him what it would look like. And so he's wondering, is it going to be a flash of light? Is it going to be a voice from the sky? Is it going to be a normal human being walking among us? Who knows? And so every day he would go to the temple, and every day he would go about his work with eyes open, with great attentiveness. That's the kind of living that we're called to. That's the kind of attention that God is inviting us to, so that nothing is missed. That's the way the Lord wants us to live. And so again, we can ask, do people see hope and joy in us? Do we bring people peace because of our presence? Friends, let's present ourselves to the Lord today, sincerely. Let's consecrate ourselves to him so that no gift is forgotten, and so that no one that we encounter is left to sit in the darkness. Because life is too valuable, because you're too valuable, not to let the light of Christ be seen in you. And so let's take the light from this place and allow it to burn in our hearts so that we carry with us the presence of the Messiah everywhere we go.